This is for B.Ed second year. We are discussing about the important Viva questions for practical examination. I want you to go through these slides and prepare accordingly. So here, the number of records submitted for each pedagogy. That is, if your pedagogy 1 is social science or maths or physics or bio, for that lesson plan records will be 2. In each record, 30 lessons will be written. Okay. So for each pedagogy, 30 lessons and totally 60 lesson plans. In each book, 15 lesson plans. And lesson observation record, diagnostic and remediation record, enhancing professional capacity, that is EPC 4. This is of course internal. Under this you will be writing understanding self, yoga and health education record. So this one set for one pedagogy. Likewise you will be writing for the next pedagogy also. Hope you know pedagogy means the skill of teaching, art of teaching. Now the first prominent question which you might have studied in the first year, it's micro teaching. So what is micro teaching? Now you have two jargon words, one is micro teaching and macro teaching. Now this macro teaching is 45 minutes class which you take in regular school setting, in classroom setting. Now what is this micro teaching? They might ask you questions on this. So this is a teacher training technique. Okay. Now this helps the teacher trainees to master the teaching skills, the skills which are involved in teaching. So you will be mastering the technique. How you will be mastering that we will see. So according to D.W. Allen, micro teaching is a scaled down teaching. Scaled down means what? It's a slight model of teaching. Encounter in class size and time. The class size will be small and the time will be limited. Okay. So scaled down technique means the entire class, the macro teaching class is for 45 minutes, but here it will be 6. Scaled down 6 minutes time. And here the number of students might be 6 or 7. Okay, scaled down teaching encounter in class size and time. That's what he says. Now this has been found in 1963 in Stanford University, United States of America. Okay. Now what is the exact meaning of this micro teaching? The teaching of a small unit of content to the small group of students, 6 to 10 members in small amount of time. This means micro teaching. It is a skill training technique. It is a short session teaching. To train inexperienced student teachers, the teacher trainees, the prospective teacher trainees, for acquiring teaching skills. Now micro teaching cycle. Okay, this is what we call as micro teaching cycle. First you need to plan the lesson. So planning is first. Then you have to teach the lesson. Then you need to get the feedback. Then you need to again replan, then reteach, re-feedback. So it goes on like that. So this is called micro teaching cycle. Okay. Now what are the types of micro teaching skills? Skill of introduction, skill of explaining. So skill of introduction, any topic, how do you introduce to the students? That is skill of introduction. Skill of explaining, how do you explain a concept? And skill of questioning, how do you question? The probing questions. That is, whatever answer you are expecting, the students will not say first. So you have to give probing questions and get the desired answer. And skill of demonstration, this is for science and maths also. Skill of reinforcement, so you reinforce the best and better answers. Very good, you're doing well. Likewise, skill of closure, every lesson should be closed properly, the follow up and everything. See, last 5 minutes, okay, you have to sum up everything whatever you have taught and teach them. The skill of closure. The stimulus variation, stimulus variation means you have to, there should be a pause, okay, in your voice also there should be some modulation, no monotony, you have to avoid monotony. So stimulus variation and skill of using blackboard. So all these are micro teaching skills. The first question was about micro teaching. Now the next probable question must be in test, measurement and evaluation. Why do you give a test? So once you finish teaching in a macro teaching setup in a school classroom setup, you should know how far the students have understood the topic. For that, you need to give a test. Test can be anything, written test, oral test, okay? So once you give a test, you give a measure. You correct the paper. You collect the paper and you correct the paper and you give a measurement, okay? So that is called measurement. It is mathematical. Collecting numerical data, getting the percentage, standards, okay? So it's a result like 5 on 10, 6 on 10. 100 out of 100. So you give a measure, a mathematical value, okay? And assessment. Again, assessment can be formative assessment and summative assessment. And this ends with an evaluation. So you assess the measure. So whatever measure you have given for the test, you assess the measure and then you evaluate. What do you evaluate? Your judgment is being done. Now he is an average student, he is an above average student, he is a below average student, he is exceptionally brilliant, okay? So you give a measure, then you assess, then you evaluate. Now I'll just give you some examples of measurement, assessment and evaluation. Now measurement, Adam got 25 out of 50. This is a measurement. Now what is assessment? Adam's grade is fair, it's okay, 25 out of 50, 50%, it's okay, he's an average student. Now evaluation, so you assess, then you judge him, then he needs to focus more on this area, on that area. So you have to tell, you have to judge him and you have to evaluate, that is how best he has to, keep up with his work. Now assessment and evaluation, there is only a minute distance between them. Assessment is ongoing. Now in CBSE and all, you have comprehensive continuous assessment. Even in B.Ed we have comprehensive continuous assessment. Continuous means not towards the end. Usually towards the end there is an exam, that is annual exam, semester exam. But here in the continuous assessment or formative assessment, summative assessment, every quarter or every month you will be having a unit test. So it's continuous, it's ongoing in that year. It is positive, it is individualized, means individual, independently you will be writing, and provides feedback. You get a report card for that. And evaluation, it provides a closure. It's like the final evaluation, final exam. It is judgmental. Yes, he has passed, he has cleared B.Ed degree, he hasn't cleared, okay? It's a judgmental. It's applied against standards and shows shortfalls, that is where he is lacking, the shortfall is being defined. Now both has criteria and both use measures and evidence driven. Evidence driven means based on the marks only you judge, okay? You don't judge just like that. You have to have some scientific method through which you take the measure. So after getting test and measurement and all that, now we are coming to measures of central tendency. They might ask you a question on this. What do you mean by measures of central tendency? Now measures of central tendency are mean, median and mode. Okay. Now what is mean? Mean is average. Now how do you find the mean? See, let's suppose you have 20 students in your class. You are giving them a test. Okay. Now you collect all the test marks, add up sum of the values, then divide by number of values. That is 20 students. So sum of the values divided by the number of values will give you the average. If the average is 50, then the class is okay class. Let's suppose the average is 80. It's a very good class. Means what do you understand? Most of the students, maximum number of students, they have got around 80, that is 70, 80, 85, 90. Okay, around 80. Let's suppose the average is 25. Then more students are towards the focus 25. Okay, that's the idea. Now median. Median gives the exact middle value. Okay, now what is mode? Mode is the most frequented value, that is the value which is being repeated. Let's suppose in your class 4 or 5 students have got 45, 45, 45, then the mode is 45. Okay, now usually mode is being used in day-to-day life. Okay, so usually you have to connect, only if you connect real life situations, people will understand better. Now how can you use mode? See, let's suppose you want to buy a bike. Then you will find out which bike is being sold repeatedly, frequently. Okay, kinetic Honda. More persons. You sit and watch. Within a span of 30 minutes, how many Hondas are going in the road? So you just watch. And if you find the more frequented vehicle is Honda, then you say the mode is Honda. So which is being liked by people. And also your shoe size. Let's suppose somebody is in class 7 and he is going to a shop to buy a dress, a ready-made shirt. So he will ask for large size or XL size or size number 8 for slippers. So all this only using mode they find out. So in commerce and business, mode is being used in a very, very excellent way. So usually the central tendency measures mean is sigma x by n. Sigma means total. So total values divided by the number of values. It gives the balance point. Now median is the middle value. Mode is the most frequented value. So this is about central tendency. Now usually the utopian situation. Now what do you mean by utopian situation? The ideal situation. Ideal situation means if the teacher is excellently good, the students are very brilliant, and the teaching and learning, everything is beautiful. Everybody is having all the equipments. Nobody is running short of anything. So in that utopian ideal situation, it should be a normal probability curve. Okay. So what do you mean by normal probability curve? See, it is symmetrical distribution. Look at the curve. Now this side and this side, both the sides are equal, symmetrical. Only in the middle you have mean, median and mode. All the three values will be the same. Whether you find the mean, you find the median, you find the mode, they will be the same. That is a normal probability curve. Usually we all think of normal situation. That is, my class should fall into normal probability. Means my class should be perfect. Means 50% of the students, they are above the mean, above average. 50% of the students below average. That should be the ideal condition if a teacher is very good, if the students are excellent, if there is a congenial atmosphere of teaching and learning. Now let's suppose it is not a normal problem. Usually none of the classes will be under normal distribution, whether it will be positively skewed or negatively skewed. Skewed means what? It is varying. It is slightly moving to the left side or the right side. Now if it is positively skewed, you just see positive skewed means mode is the lowest. Okay, mode is the lowest and then mean is the highest. That is positively skewed. If it is negatively skewed, mean is the lowest and mode is the highest. Okay, so measures of central tendency talks about mean, median and mode. Okay, now from this figure you can understand central tendency, the red value, that's the middle value. All the other values are converging, focusing towards the center. That is why it is called central tendency. How it is being focused towards the center. Now the next thing is called measures of dispersion. Dispersion means spread outness. How it is being spread out from the center. So the distance from the center. So the measures of dispersions are variance, quartile deviation, standard deviation, range and coefficients of variation. Range is nothing but the greatest value minus the lowest, the highest value minus the lowest value. And standard deviation, of course, the very good measure which you can do is standard variation. Okay, that you have to understand. And coefficients of variation, quartile deviation, mean deviation and other things are there. Okay, so these are measures of dispersion, dispersing from the average. Okay, that's the idea. Now the next thing you have in this test and measurement is correlation. Now what do you mean by this correlation? This is an analysis which deals with the association, the relation between two or more variables. Okay, see, like let's suppose you know how to go on a bicycle, how to ride a bicycle. Now this knowledge will definitely help you in driving a bike. Okay, so there is a positive correlation. Do you think riding a bicycle will help you in cooking? Will that have any relation? Maybe or may not be. Okay, so trying to find out what type of relation between two or more variables, like if at all you are good at physics, then that knowledge of physics will help you in mathematics. But do you think knowledge in physics will help you in Tamil? So you have to find out. That's why you are finding rank correlation coefficient, okay, in test and measurement. How the knowledge in physics is helping in maths, how the knowledge in maths is helping in chemistry, likewise. So there can be perfect positive correlation or no correlation at all, zero correlation, or perfect negative correlation will also be there. Okay. So this is about test and measurement we have done. Now the next thing, the next probable question they might ask you is about the taxonomy. This is also one of the jargon word which we will be learning in B.Ed. Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Now he has talked about learning objectives, Bloom's taxonomy of objectives. Now he classifies the objectives into three domains. The domains are cognitive, affective and psychomotor. So the domains of learning, cognitive domain. Cognition means thinking, thoughts, like memorizing, reasoning, all these are cognition. Okay. Affective is from the heart, the emotions, feeling. So appreciation, motivation, all this. Now psychomotor is actions, okay? Typing, playing, drawing graphs and all that. So Bloom's taxonomy talks about cognitive, affective and psychomotor. Under cognitive domain, it starts with knowledge. Knowledge is just knowing the thing. Ohm's law, yes. I know this is a relation between pressure, volume and temperature. You just know that. That is knowledge. Okay, knowledge will not help you anywhere. From knowledge, you have to have wisdom. Okay, you might have so many certificates in your hand. You might have finished MSc, PhD in physics. But if you don't know how the principle behind how the fan is working, then your knowledge has no value. Okay, so knowledge is the base thing. Just mugging up Ohm's law. That is knowledge. Now what is comprehension? So the second stage is comprehending thing, means understanding. Yes, if the temperature goes up, then the pressure will be more. So likewise you understand. Then you appreciate application. So how do you apply Ohm's law? And analyze things. Then synthesis. So after analyzing, synthesis. Analyzing means what? The whole thing into parts you divide. But synthesis is all the parts you join them into whole. You make a whole. Then you evaluate, come to a judgment. Okay. So cognition, evaluation is the final thing. Knowledge is the base thing. From knowledge, understanding, comprehension. Application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. In blueprint also you will follow only this. Okay. The second one is affective domain. It is receiving first. First you receive through your heart. You respond to the phenomena. Then you value. Then you organize the value. Then internalizes the values. Okay. So this usually we don't talk too much. Affective domain deals with receiving, and you respond and you value. Then you organize. Then you make that value into your character. You live that character. Internalizes values. So this is affective domain. The next is psychomotor domain. Imitation. First you imitate. If somebody is doing yoga, imitate. Then you manipulate. You do according to your convenience. Then precision. Precision means what? Doing it perfect. Perfecting a thing. Then you articulate. You also make something. You naturalize that action. Okay. So this is psychomotor domain. Now, so after all this, then diagnosis and remedial teaching. What do you mean by this? So first you teach, students are learning, teaching and learning happens. Evaluation, you judge. Let's suppose there is unsatisfactory performance of students. Then you diagnose things. See, it is more like, let's suppose I have a headache. There is a problem in my system. In my system there is a problem. So what do? I want to diagnose why this headache is coming. So where do I go? I go to a hospital. I go to a laboratory, clinical laboratory, take a blood test. So in the same way, you have to identify students who need help. Locate the area of difficulty. Then you administer a general achievement test. Or you can use the same data of the previous testing. Then identify what is wrong. Then provide remedial measure, then improve the quality of learning. That is, depending on that, you have to change the strategy. Let's suppose if most of the students don't understand anything, then there is something wrong with the teacher. Or maybe the lesson is very tough. So diagnose and remedial teaching, not only remedial, you have enrichment activities also can be given. Okay, so you will be asked questions like this, and there are so many other questions also they might ask you, like how do you introduce any lesson, how do you motivate the students. Okay, so these are some of the probable questions they might ask you. So prepare well, and I want you to go through the PDF which I have sent you earlier also. Okay, thank you my dear students, welcome, bye.